Welcome, everyone. Today's event features Karen DeWisha, and she's going to present the ideas in her book, Putin's Kleptocracy, Who Owns Russia? And this book has got a lot of play recently, so I'm sure many of you have seen it mentioned. It's been reviewed all over.
I'm pleased to introduce tonight's Hammer Forum on the role of private
Kredi kartı
contractors.
şirketlerinin uyguladığı engelleme nedeniyle mali sıkıntısı olan ülkenin gizli belgeleri yayınlamayı durduracağını açıkladı. Wikileaks'e uygulanan engelleme nedeniyle bir süredir bağış yapılamazken internet sitesinin son dönemde mali açıdan zor.
Солдаты и матросы, сержанты и старшины.
Members of Congress,
Товарищи
I have the
офицеры,
highest
генералы
and the
и
distinct honor of presenting
солдаты
to
и
you
матросы,
His
сержанты
Excellency
и
Kyriakos
старшины,
Mitsotakis,
мичманы,
Prime Minister of the Hellenic Republic.
Democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The whistleblowing website WikiLeaks has begun publishing what it says are 5.5 million emails obtained from the
Vladimir Putin served as president of Russia from 2000 to 2008 and was re-elected to the presidency in 2012. He previously served as Russia's prime minister. Who is Vladimir Putin? In 1999, Russian President Boris Yeltsin dismissed his prime minister and promoted former KGB officer Vladimir Putin in his place. In December 1999,
Before we come to Prime Minister's questions, I would like to question Prime Minister Stephen King. We now come to Prime Minister's questions. Prime Minister! Thank you, Mrs. Vic Whitley. To remind the House of what we have achieved. More than 20 acts of Parliament have been passed. Thank you, Mrs. Vic Whitley.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
An average of £330 a year.
For those of us who are
Anthony K. Brown, who was St. John? Anthony K. Brown, who was St. John?
He was Kim Philby's father.
Anthony K. Brown, who was St. John Philby?
He was Kim Philby's father. He was Kim Philby's father. A character in this book in his own right.
On May the 13th, 1988, Kim Philby was buried. He was given full military honors by the country he served, for Philby was buried. He was given full military honors by the country he served for 50... Kim...
Suppose countries were like people you could ship. Suppose countries were like people you could ship from one neighborhood to another.
Humphrey overshadowed the fact that Trump was leaving this morning for the G20, where he planned to meet with Vladimir Putin.
At one point, or at least you wrote and or spoke about what you called the and or spoke about what you called the backwards evolution.
We know before I come to Prime Minister's questions, I would like to point out the British Sign Language.
This is one of Russia's most solemn days. die Ehre zu erweisen. Biarritz und aus Boston sind sie. Und Canberra aus London und Montevideo aus Biarritz und aus Boston sind sie gekommen, um der gemeuchelten Zarenfamilie die letzte Ehre zu erweisen. 9 Särge vorweg auf dem Weg. Aus Rom und Canberra, aus London und Montevideo, aus Biarritz und aus Boston sind sie gekommen, um der gemeuchelten
Mingling with the rush hour traffic, Red Army armored personnel carriers on the streets of Moscow this morning, heading to the Kremlin. They first moved in at 4 a.m., the first sign of the coup d'etat that removed Mikhail Gorbachev from power. With tanks in Red Square, the official word from the new government, calling itself the National Emergency Committee, was that the architect of glasnost and perestroika was too...
It's clear that had there been a coalition, it's clear that had there been a coalition that was like the which
Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev has received
There are
Director of
16
the
different federal agencies gathering intelligence for the U.S. government. In 2004-17, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence was set up to oversee them all.
President of the Republic of
Here's what you know about America's... In 2004-17, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence was set up to oversee them all. Here's what you know about America's intelligence community and how the different branches operate. Start with the armed forces. There are 16 different federal agencies gathering intelligence.
Или признавать... Нет, я... Или признавать суверенитет. А я... Предлагаете начать переговорный процесс? Предлагаете начать переговорный процесс?
Фарс, який сепаратисти.
Нет, я... Или признавать...
На військовий конфлікт. За даними нашої розвідки, вони відпрацьовують. Вони провокують.
.org/shop and click
Roman
on
Revolution.
Book TV.
And as we saw,
Casper is an online
oligarchs,
retailer
wealth
offering
and power in the
premium
new
mattresses
Russia.
for
Follow
a
6
fraction
men
of
who
the
benefited
price.
from internal communism.
South Africa's ruling African National Congress is consolidating its leadership but with diminished support base. The economic freedom fighters, on the other hand, got more votes than in the 2014 election.
Stoa.
Русская.
Kader belirleyici bir süreçtir. Burada
Hi, my name is Alan Sands, and I'm sitting outside
today we're going to go back to what I normally do. And this
Putin's victory is marred by allegations.
2015. It was on the Russian political theory.
It has become an election issue and has been one of the most
presidential election on Sunday, with dozens of candidates vying for the top job.
But there's a bit of good news. Dominant player TLD Smart has launched the LTE Advance or 4.5G, the fastest mobile data speed yet in the country. Joaquim Horn, the company's chief technology advisor, says the service would initially be available in Boracay.
7 p.m. Eastern, we've got full closings in Kentucky, South Carolina, Vermont, Virginia, Georgia, and Indiana.
This mobile internet technology is commercially available in only a few countries, and its arrival is
at 7 p.m. Eastern. At 7 p.m. Eastern, in just about 10 seconds, Kentucky, South Carolina, Vermont,
और शाहरुख के दिल्ली वाले घर से ही हथियार मिला है।
Speaker of the National Assembly, Speaker of the National.
The unity in our caucus has been our strength, and it will continue stronger than ever.
The elections were finally released on Monday by the country's Constitutional Council. 85-year-old President Paul
Tuesday, 8 a.m., Harambe House. The presidential motorcade arrives escorted by outriders amid tight security. Moments later, acting President William Ruto alights from the presidential limousine to be received by orderlies. The presidential motorcade arrives escorted by outriders amid tight security.
Protests have seen Russians take to the streets this year in the biggest challenge to Vladimir Putin's rule since he first came to power. Unprecedented wave of protests has seen Russians take to the streets this year in the biggest challenge to Vladimir Putin's rule since he first came to power. They were sparked by anger over the perception of widespread electoral fraud favouring his United Russia.
Township Healthcare District residents since it opened in 1958. Washington Hospital today is provided for the sole purpose of informing residents.
Let's start with the big story that we are tracking this morning, where voting has begun and is presently underway in Russia for the presidential polls, which is in fact expected to confirm Vladimir Putin as president for yet another 6-year term.
Vladimir Putin is seeking a
in the
full term in the
easternmost
Kremlin.
parts of the country, and Putin's aides are in fact targeting a landslide victory of at least about 70% of the vote, which has begun and is presently underway in Russia.
Transmissions of voting provided by Russian polling stations have cried foul, sharing video links on social media, alleging violations across the country.
Русский мир представляет собой угрозу для всей Европы. Более того, Моровецкий призвал
blue after all of these years of presidential race is just phenomenal. Barack Obama's campaign just inspired so much enthusiasm. It brought out.
Hello friends, I am Aditya Kedari. आज का टॉपिक है Putin could stay in power till 2030.
President Biden came out today at the White House
punish the Kremlin for the invasion. These sanctions, he said, have gone.
Let us now cross to SABC News correspondent in Russia, Stuart Smith, for the latest. A very good day to you, Stuart. What has been the reaction of ordinary Russians to yesterday's round of talks?
We talked about.
Yeah, ordinary Russians, I would say, folks.
Has brought the world to the edge of the largest.
Yeah, ordinary.
What has been the reaction of his correspondent in Russia, Stuart Smith,
two
for the
pieces of
latest
Ukrainian land as independent entities? Ukraine does not and will never recognize.
My name is
Neither will the world.
Поэтому я надеюсь, что, посмотрев этот фильм, у вас появится большее желание играть в бадминтон. Стало быть,
President Barack Obama puts on a master class in public speaking. Here are 3 very effective public speaking techniques that Obama uses consistently across most of his speeches. The first is what I call transcendence. Barack Obama can actually take us to another place. He can paint a picture in your mind's eye by using very concrete and vivid language.
Nearly 78% of Russian voters officially approved the amendments
My name is Kirsten Wiley, and I'm here today to introduce and welcome Naomi Oreskes, who is visiting us as part of the Microsoft Research Visiting Speaker Series. Naomi is here today to discuss her book, Merchants of Doubt, How a Handful of Scientists Obscured the Truth in Issues from Tobacco Smoke to Global Warming. 40% of Americans believe,
including leading scientists, renowned experts in technology, book authors, and leading academics, and makes videos of these lectures freely available.
ଫିନଲ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡର ଚୂଡ଼ାନ୍ତ ଘୋଷଣା ନାଟୋ ସଦସ୍ୟତା ପାଇଁ ଖୁବ୍ ଶୀଘ୍ର ଆବେଦନ ନିଷ୍ପତ୍ତି ଘୋଷଣା କଲେ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରପତି ସାଉଲି ନିସିସ୍ତୋ ଓ ପ୍ରଧାନମନ୍ତ୍ରୀ ସାନା ମାରିନ୍ ଅବିଳମ୍ବେ ନାଟୋର ସଦସ୍ୟତା ପାଇଁ
Lots of room.
Ukraine is looking west for its energy. Possible disruptions to natural gas supplies from Russia and needs as it faces possible disruptions
at the center. I want to give a special welcome to a friend, Dr. Tatiana Mitrova, who is just about the best Russian oil and gas analyst that I can think of. We at CSIS have been working together.
Exactly what are real essence of
Today I'm announcing a new defense innovation initiative.
And to discuss more about China's military reform in Beijing, we're joined by 2 members of China's PLA raised back in the month of September. And this time we got more information talking about the further reform.
Has committed itself in its 2014 budget that was approved 2 weeks ago to remove subsidies completely, to remove subsidies completely by January 2015.
Now, some of you will know that those things are very distinguished scholar on Chinese politics and foreign policy. He is the current David
hundreds and hundreds of what are real
that provocateurs and extremists will not be allowed to interfere with society. He's been giving his last State of the Nation.
The inaugural director of the Center for the Study of Contemporary China, and also a senior fellow at the Foreign Policy Research Institute based in Philadelphia. He's published a lot of
welcome to the third talk and
analysis on China in some of the
okay?
best journals.
Can you hear me okay?
Okay,
what's my name again?
Welcome to week 5 of the Sustainable Energy module, and this week we're going to talk about energy policy instruments. So what tools the policymakers have at their hands.
From John Thomas, the founding father of the international hedge fund industry.
Fund trader. Did you know the top...
Professor of Global Politics and International
Hello,
Relations.
this is John Thomas.
Of Global Politics and International Relations.
Number of months, but in recent weeks the price has shot up to a 7-year high on the back of the Russia-Ukraine conflict.
अमेंडमेंट्स के ऊपर है। अस्सलाम वालेकुम डियर स्टूडेंट्स, कैसे हैं आप? हमारा आज का जो लेक्चर है ये सबको पता ही है, लेकिन जो लेवल में कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट्स के ऊपर है।
economic break most Americans have gotten for the last 6 months has been the drastic drop in the price of oil.
क्योंकि जो अमेंडमेंट्स हैं इनको याद रखना थोड़ा सा मुश्किल है। ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल तेल का हमारा लेक्चर 5 है, जो कि एलएलबी सेकंड पार्ट, एलएलबी 5th सेमेस्टर, और ना सिर्फ इनके लिए बल्कि कम्पिटिटिव लेवल के जितने भी एग्जाम्स होते हैं और उसके अलावा जितने भी हमारे काफ़ी स्टूडेंट्स ने इसके बारे में कहा है कि सर काइंडली इसके ऊपर एक ब्रीफ सा लेक्चर दे दें, क्योंकि ये जो अमेंडमेंट्स हैं इनको याद रखना थोड़ा सा।
I am sure that the year 2014 will go into its
Crimea as word came that Russian President Vladimir.
This is Crimea.
Tens of thousands in the port city of Sevastopol, Putin hailed the incorporation of the region into Russia as a return to them. In his first trip to the Black Sea Peninsula since its annexation from Ukraine in March, Russian President Vladimir Putin made a triumphant visit to Black Sea.
Thousands turned out for a fireworks display in the Crimean city of Sevastopol. And
speaking before tens of thousands in the port city of Sevastopol, Putin hailed.
CFR is an CFR is an independent national membership organization and nonpartisan research center.
Now, airports can be noisy, chaotic, stressful places at the best of times, but for a family who are trying to negotiate check-in and security with an autistic child, short of a nightmare. Well, now Gatwick Airport is hoping that they may be able to make things a little easier for families in that situation.
We know Russia's now planning a major military modernization program.
I'm Carolyn Prasuti with the prices is not among the 10 largest
What's
oil
up, guys?
exporters.
How you doing?
At their fastest level since 2008. Libya is not among the 10 largest
anti-steroids. Now, I just want to explain why. So, if you think that like it's like
Many Russians hold their country's police in low regard. The recent
but it was not illegal. It was like we talked about it very openly. I mean, anyone that was asked, is it exterior? Yeah,
Minister George told city departments, those who've been fired for misconduct had to be
By the end of July this year, the team is expected to give the police force a facelift. The team is mandated to propose a radical task force comprising of, among others, 5 permanent secretaries in key ministries and the chair of the Kenyan National Commission on Human Rights. It was launched by the Internal
Changes in the aftermath of Chauvin should change. There's no question about that, but if the process and the system doesn't change, then the answer to that is going to be no. It is not easy to get rid of a bad police officer.
Mr. Speaker, it's good to see our parliamentary democracy back in action. The government is spending...
And what has he done? He's imported more virus from around the world.
The government is spending dollars.
Ukraine. We cross now live to SABC correspondent Ross Cullen, who is monitoring
representative of Pakistan.
So much, Mr. President. My delegation is obliged to take
the power in Libya in 1969.
Over COVID.
Long time
this
ago.
Is a guy who ran for president.
Do you have thoughts on who might succeed you?
The virus.
You came to power in Libya in 1969. Long time ago.
Good evening.
Do you have thoughts on who
Today,
might succeed
our
you?
fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
Who might succeed you?
The victims were in airplanes.
I gave up power of Authority since 1977 عند محافظة الجمهورية قامت سلطة الشعب وبالتالي أنا من ذلك الوقت وأنا خارج السلطة. Ever since that date.
First of all, it is very serious. It's very real.
Russia and Georgia, the Georgian breakaway region of South Ossetia. President Bush has told Russian leaders that military action against Georgia is unacceptable.
This is the University
Vice
of
President
Otago.
Cheney, Georgia. Alex, you're in Gori, near the border with South Ossetia. What is the situation there now? Developments from Georgia. Alex, you're in Gori, near the border with South Ossetia. President Bush has told Russian leaders that military action against Georgia is unacceptable. The fighting between Russia and Georgia over the Georgian breakaway region of South Ossetia. President Bush has told Russian leaders that military action against Georgia is unacceptable.
The homes of people they suspect is potential.
My name is Sitra Kumar. I'm an assistant professor of surgical oncology here at Roswell Park Cancer Institute. My areas of specialty include
after your nation won its freedom.
Hi, my
Were
name
low.
is Sitra Kumar.
During
I'm
this
an
visit to
assistant
Georgia
professor of
Thursday,
surgical
Vice
oncology
President
here
Cheney
at
pledged
Roswell
support
Park
to help the
Cancer
war
Institute. Here at Roswell Park Cancer Institute. I thought it'd be nice to sit down and have a basic. It sits in the middle of your neck. There's a right side and a left side. It sits right on top of your trachea.
Fight in command and control enablers of Ukraine. Now, we can't say specifically where all these battalions, these tactical groups are going, but we have seen over the last few days that they've
in Bosnia and Libya. But tonight we're going to
I don't
begin
know. I
by
guess just laugh.
addressing
We've been trying to do it for years, and finally we set a date
On
and
this
it
show,
worked out perfectly.
we've looked at the
so
Soviet war in Afghanistan, Putin's war in
Leaders
Chechnya,
face fresh international condemnation. Foreign U.S. defense security checkers demanded immediate elections and the release of
What is the credit crisis?
when discussing
It's a
Russian
worldwide financial
recent days,
fiasco.
we have turned to history to try to better understand the
It's a
context.
worldwide financial fiasco involving terms you've probably
We've
heard,
looked at
like
NATO's
subprime
no-fly zones
mortgages.
in
How
Bosnia
happened?
and Libya.
Here's how.
But tonight
The
we're
credit crisis.
The U.S.'s main trading partners on Wednesday
90 days. In Cairo, a number of people were prevented from boarding a flight to New York on Sunday.
by witnessing an end to armed attacks. The United States banned Syrian oil imports and sanctioned 5 Syrian energy firms on Thursday. U.S. President Barack Obama also imposed additional penalties, including a freeze on was hoping to bring Ukrainian armed formation to reason for at least a short while and to conduct talks before they start violating the silence regime, he said.
Policy challenges.
Said in a statement. According to the spokesman, the Ukrainian side has failed to fully honor the silence regime. Kyiv was pushing for a new round of talks on Donbass. The next round of Minsk talks may be disrupted because of Kyiv's
corporeal, corporeal.
I really do think it's important to discuss how the coronavirus is going to affect the future of national security. He has a wide range of it. And
How's everyone
here today. We're going to hand it over to Evan, who's our co-sponsor from the National Security Law Society, introduce everybody, and then we'll take it from there. Evan, go ahead.
They're interrupted.
There we go. Excellent. How's everyone doing? Really excited to have so many folks here today. We're going to hand it over to Evan.
This may be a slick piece of video propaganda, but its message is deeply
These are
chilling.
rebels in Idlib governorate. They're associated with the Syrian army. Seeks to overthrow President Bashar al-Assad.
Your starting point will be our homepage. Here, they expect us to have the same type of objectivity that they're familiar with from our newspaper. Our brand stands for editorial integrity.
Good evening, and welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Krause, and I teach political science here. It's my great pleasure this afternoon to welcome Vladimir.
Dr. Evil didn't spend 6 years in evil medicine. Stick to the BEAC, get ready to ignite. You were such a frequency, catching all the lights. Just easy as ABC, that's how we make it right. Dr. Evil didn't spend 6 years in evil medicine. Don't mess with me, You were such a frequency.
Karate, from carrying any sort of weapon, it gained popularity in Japan much later.
Ukraine, the Estonian government.
This is a long-term campaign.
He wasn't giving me my props in Oaktown.
ISIL is opportunistic and it is nimble.
Very well.
Kinds of bread, 19 employees, and full order books.
My father was a relentlessly self-improving belong from
16 kinds of bread, 19 employees, and full order books.
The statement from the United Nations chief also acknowledged that many parts of the world were bringing the pandemic under control due to the extraordinary development and deployment of vaccines, a shift that has started in the United States. The statement from the United Nations chief also acknowledged that many parts of the world were bringing the pandemic under control due to the extraordinary.
Pertama-tama, Mimin akan selalu mengucapkan terima kasih kepada kalian yang telah mendukung Mimin ya di channel Gorcet. Pertama-tama,
Lucy Taylor is joining us live from Moscow for more on this. Good evening to Lucy. Thanks for being with us.
Russia rushing to establish itself as a major player in race for the coronavirus vaccine. Russia has now approved the second COVID-19 vaccine. Major player in race for the coronavirus.
Abroad hope to import and donate doses.
Developed by Siberia's Vector
So the Russian offensive continues now for the 3 days. In the last 42 hours, Russia launched cruise and ballistic missiles on So the Russian offensive continues now for the 3 days. In the last 40 missiles on cities attacked Ukraine with aviation, tanks and artillery. But we are absolutely appalled. 3 days. In the last 42 hours, Russia launched cruise and ballistic missiles on cities. In this video, attacked Ukraine with aviation, tanks and
Consumer resource again. Today I wanted to show a lot of the people that have been watching my videos about this really great site I've been using for about 2 months.
This video posted on May 9th showing the destruction of Russian military equipment according to the Ukrainian military. US officials now closer to his own borders in northeast Ukraine, retaking more than 30 villages around Kharkiv. Ukraine releasing a video Tuesday that it says shows a strike on an advanced Russian tank in the area. And in the east, Russia's advance on May 9th, showing the destruction of Russian military equipment, according to the Ukrainian military. US officials now warning the war may still get worse.
The next few months could see us moving along a more unpredictable and potentially.
This morning, the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine on high alert. The State Department now ordering diplomats' families to leave the region
I think it's going to be the middle of February, middle to latter part of February. It's kind of my part of it.
Secretary of State Anthony Blinken reaffirming U.S. support for the Ukrainian government.
If sale additional
Because of his radical views, Lenin was exiled.
He would bang his head against the floor, and as he went into hysterics, everybody feared that the child would grow up defective.
Confirming the Biden administration is now considering sending more troops to the region. It would be on top of severe financial and trade sanctions against Russia, including the possibility.
He would bang his head against the floor, and as he went into hysterics,
Лидер право по закону объявляет иностранную свободу моих собственному желанию получения. Нельзя не имеет прав. Товарищ, благодаря самим растёрке под налогом у крестьян
müssen beim Europarat antraben. Schwere Vorwürfe. Es
Millionen von Menschen unnötig.
Der deutsche Arzt Wolfgang Wodak erhebt die Schweizer Stelle
не имеют права по закону употреблять иностранную свободу по их собственному желанию.
Margaro, dua versi Brazil maupun driving yang
concepts he wrote about and their relevance from Newport, Rhode Island at 7 a.m. Eastern here on C-SPAN. This Saturday on American Perspectives, see a tour of President Harry Truman's Independence, Missouri office. That's Saturday night at 10:40 Eastern and Pacific. 2. Retracing the steps of the author of Democracy in America. We take a fresh look at the concepts he wrote about and their relevance to issues facing America today. The Alexis de Tocqueville Tour, Exploring Democracy in America, starting this Friday, May 9th, live from Newport, Rhode Island at 7 a.m. Eastern here on C-SPAN. This Saturday on American Perspectives, see a tour of President Harry Truman's Independence, Missouri office. That's Saturday night at 10:40 Eastern and Pacific.
Before Hitler, Germany had been deep in economic depression. Before Hitler, unemployment had stood at 7 million. Before Hitler.
Adolf Hitler came to power in Germany on January 30th, 1933.
To regain our place among the strong nations of the world.
This is part of a larger
Hitler's seductive promise.
series for the Council on Foreign
to regain our place among the strong nations of the world.
How interests are bound up for the United States.
Es ist wieder soweit. Einmal im Jahr veröffentlicht Transparency International und somit auch das Austrian Chapter den Corruption Perception Index. Er listet Länder nach dem Grad auf, in dem dort Korruption bei Amtsträgern
Hello and welcome to the Global Forecast from the Economist Intelligence Unit. I'm Tony McMahon and I'm joined by Robert Ward. Well, there's plenty to worry about around the world at the moment. We've got the US deficit wrangles, Eurozone woes and the threat of inflation in China. But first of all, Robert, let's turn to the US. You're pushing your prediction, the first interest rate in the US, into 2013. Previously, you were predicting... Hello and welcome to the Global Forecast from the Economist Intelligence Unit. I'm Tony McMahon, and I'm
Democracy
joined
at a
by Robert
standstill
Ward.
is the theme of the Economist Intelligence
around the world
Unit's
at the
latest
moment.
Democracy
We've got
Index,
the US
which
deficit
compares
wrangles, Eurozone...
I'm going to talk about Democracy Index of 2000 and press the bell icon.
Hello and welcome to the Global Forecast from the Economist Intelligence Unit. I'm Tony McMahon and I'm joined by Robert Ward. Well, there's plenty to worry about around the world at the moment. We've got the US deficit wrangles, Eurozone woes and the threat of inflation in China. But first of all, Robert, let's turn to the US. You're pushing your prediction, the first...
Пошли сегодня орку. Путин, ты хуйло знай, и весь твой русский мир погибнет вместе с тобой. Чеченцев не видел, конечно, но пахнет вот этими писюнами.
Тут тесто. Это так к нам. Тут тесто.
Но во дворе НКВД перед отступлением были расстреляны 10 высоких приспешников фашизма. Какая степень их...
Nadie lo conoce realmente. No vacilo un segundo. El mundo entero está hablando de él. Sin embargo, en rigor, nadie lo conoce realmente.
Москву в 96-м месте, на основании своих там бесед с ним долгих.
Я вас избивать не буду. Да вы что? Это не в моих интересах. Опусти телефон!
Применение ядерного оружия недопустимо. Это еще и потому, что это же рядом с нами. Мы совсем здесь, еще и потому, что это же рядом с нами. Соединенные Штаты Америки.
On the 14th of October 1942, Hitler brought to a close the summer offensive by
in southern Russia.
This boy is not
9.16.
So he has been devoting himself to the development of students in his first year conflicts.
Blessed to receive the miraculous. Last night my family and our home was miraculous. Kirkwood
The Leninist system was one of the greatest blows that socialism suffered in the 20th century, maybe second only to fascism. I mean, as Lenin took power, blows that socialism suffered in the 20th century, maybe second to Leninist system was one that socialism
Progress Publishers, 1964, Moscow, Volume 4, pages 366-371. Russian Social Democracy
Merke dir diesen eigensinnigen, eigenwilligen Schädel. Rosa Luxemburg.
Of the Russian Working Class Party to be the overthrow of the autocracy, the achievement of political liberty. This was enunciated over 15 years ago by the representatives of Russian social democracy, the members of the Emancipation of Labor.
Are to the martial arts what free throws are to basketball. If everyone,
all the people of Asia can be traced directly to the basketball of Asia.
if everyone agrees to pause for a moment, it's kind of pretty to look at. But a free throw would never work in the middle of
Meaning of things? For me, it's however people are using the word, that's the meaning. Okay, I concede that.
Well, we can
By the way,
those
it's
things.
why I don't call myself an atheist. It's why. You can look up the dictionary
thinking
definition.
that everything that we must verify has to be I call him Richard Dawkins, yeah? He's a bit of a crazy guy trying to like attack religions and blame everything on religions and stuff, and there's no proof for God. Let me address two things here. First and foremost,
Namaste,
we
welcome
are
to
brought
the
up
well.
thinking that everything that we must verify has to be touch and feel. Yeah. But let me tell you something. If we are brought up thinking that everything that we must verify has to be touch and feel. Yeah.
Sheikh Reddy garu ee madhya kalamlo చూస్తుంటే ఎక్కువగా యంగ్స్టర్స్
Would that be good?
అలవాటు పడుతున్నారు ముఖ్యంగా గంజాయి.
Hello and welcome to History Pod. On the 8th of September 1941,
Deutsche Kampfflugzeuge greifen die bolschewistischen Stellungen an.
Footage from a German newsreel, the Deutsche Wochenschau, 1941. The German offensive against Leningrad.
The most favored nation for M if a WTO member constitutes the second component of the non-discrimination pillar, one of the fundamental rules of the club, is that in addition to the most favored nation, or MFN, all WTO members, the national treatment principle ensures non-discrimination.
Offered and other legislative guidelines to be offered and other legislative guidelines for consideration.
Without any regard to the member's economic size or level of development. It is worth noting that the MFN principle requires
My name is Alan Sands, and I'm sitting outside the Asian Center at the University of British Columbia. Welcome to the Global Politics Instructional Video Series. In this series, we are looking at a series of concepts and ideas that are important to the study of global politics and international relations. And today, we're looking at free trade. Now, what's interesting about free trade series, we are looking at a series of concepts and ideas that are important to the study of global politics and international relations. University of British Columbia. Welcome to the Global Politics Instructional Video Series. In this series,
empowered to impose sentence of death or such punishment as it may consider just.
Ukraine war. Russian journalist Oksana Bolina killed. Ukraine war. Russian journalist. Ukraine war. Russian journalist.
The tribunal sits in judgment upon 20 leaders of the Nazi party.
អាណត្តិថ្មីនេះស្ថាប័នប្រឆាំងអំពើពុករលួយកំពុងធ្វើឲ្យរំជើបរំជួលពីផ្ទៃប្រទេសតាមរយៈការចាប់ខ្លួនជនពុករលួយនៅក្នុងជួរមន្ត្រីដែលមានបុណ្យស័ក្តិហើយប្រើប្រាស់តួនាទីរបស់ខ្លួនដើម្បីប្រព្រឹត្តអំពើពុករលួយនៅក្នុងនោះក៏មានរបស់ខ្លួនដើម្បីដែលមានបុណ្យស័ក្តិហើយប្រើប្រាស់តួនាទីរបស់ខ្លួនដើម្បីប្រព្រឹត្ត
Union of Soviet Socialist Republics ceased to exist on December 26, 1991 by Declaration Number 142H of the Soviet of the Republics of the...
Хорошо, что вас не надо представлять, потому что минуты дороги. Я объясню вам правила
очень много трудностей
этой игры. Сначала вы имеете 5... Вас приветствует творческое объединение Республик Российского телевидения, программа «Без ретуши» в прямом эфире. Я с удовольствием представляю вам Анатолия Александровича Собчака.
In this chapter, we'll cover legal theory and foundations for the legal system. We begin by exploring law and where does it derive, what are the sources and authorities for law. Then we'll look at the concept of jurisprudence for legislative.
Class deals with two issues: regulation of business and business ethics.
Several theories.
There's only rumors of what may be happening to something like 4 million people of its city and
Meine Damen und Herren, ich begrüße Sie im Panzermuseum. Mein Name ist Thiel. Ich begrüße Sie im Namen der Stadt Munster.
Welcome to this latest edition in our video interview series here at iConnect.
For those of you who don't watch much ITV2, you might be interested to hear Daniel O'Reilly, who found fame being outrageous on the web and then secured a series.
The history of free-tube telling is a fascinating one of even alike
Facebook fans and 300,000 Twitter followers that attracted the attention of mainstream television executives. His program ostensibly offered tips to Guy. Interested to hear what he's been missing. Dapper Love is a comedian, real name Daniel O'Reilly, who found fame being outrageous on the web and then secured a series on For those of you who don't watch much ITV2, you might be interested to hear what you've been missing. Dapper Laughs is a comedian.
Die Handelsbeziehungen sind eng. Wir leben von.
His comedy is what you might call extreme lavishly.
Canadians based in Europe for about 5.5 years. During that time,
This is
Vladimir Putin,
an ancient
in
Russian
person,
city between Moscow and
based
St. Petersburg.
in Europe for about 5.5 years. And during that
For those of you who don't
I've
watch much
seen
ITV,
Vladimir Putin in person.
to 9, during Stalin's the Leningrad affair in 1940.
More than 20 years ago, IWP was founded as a graduate school of national security and international affairs, dedicated to developing leaders in the South.
He seized control of one of the world's largest.
Delle vittime che potrebbe ulteriormente aumentare europea e l'incendio che provoca questa immensa nuvola si è scatenato dove si trova l'amministrazione dell'Istituto di ricerca per la difesa aerospaziale del Ministero della Difesa della Federazione Russa. L'istituto è stato fondato nel 2014 tra i progetti sviluppati
Ben Azerbaycanlıyım.
Akşamınız hayır olsun.
Friends of the Silver People, U.S. Friends of the Silver People is the sponsor of this panel discussion this afternoon on the continuing Cold War, U.S. versus the USSR, U.S. versus the Russian Federation. In the left former Silver People, U.S. Friends of the Silver People is the sponsor of this panel discussion this afternoon on the continuing Cold War, U.S. versus the USSR, U.S. versus the Russian Federation.
When two Egyptian MiG-21s were shot down as they tried, unusually, to attack Israeli planes northeast of Port Said. 50 the Soviet unobtrusively withdrawn before Sadat's declaration.
പസഫിക് സമുദ്രത്താണ് കാലാവസ്ഥ മോശമായതുകൊണ്ടാണ് പലരും ന്യൂസിലാൻഡിൽ പോകാത്തത്. കാരണം ജനലിലൊക്കെ 2-3 ഷട്ടർ വേണ്ടി വരും. കൊല്ലത്തിൽ പകുതി മാസങ്ങളിൽ
probably reflecting the line he was instructed to propagate, wrote that, in June, at the air.
danged if he knows how to use it. The name's Lanley. Lyle Lanley. And I come before you good people.
Ausbeutung, Umweltverschmutzung, die Welt geht im Bach.
Now, wait just a minute. We're twice as smart as the people of Shelbyville. Just tell us your idea and we'll vote for it.
All right. I tell you what I'll do. I'll show you my idea. I give you the Springfield Monorail. I've sold monorails.
Hi students, welcome back to our class.
Und allgemein wird nach einer Lohnsteigerung gerufen. Die Frage wird auf unserem Kongress zur Sprache. Ihr als Leiter der Internationalen Assoziation müsst ein Bürger.
Judo. Das sind spektakuläre Würfe, harte
Bürger.
Dover. The most dangerous.
Desde jovem sentiu-se atraído. Era filho de um rico industrial protestante. Desde jovem sentiu-se atraído para a luta pela transformação das relações sociais dominantes. Em 1841, ingressou no serviço militar que cumpriu em Berlim.
Oh, and came off the back of Angus Kilcully. What a goal! Sam Mason-Smith with an absolute
Hey, kia ora mai tātou katoa. Welcome to the Waitakere Licensing Trust November meeting, our last meeting for the year. And it has been a long, difficult year for a lot of people, and we really acknowledge our community All those in favour, aye.
So you're looking for a job where you can make a difference, a real difference. In our emergency care centre, every day offers new opportunities to make that kind of impact.
Whether it's our patients or their families we're caring for, we can honestly say that we love what we do.
We'll begin the basic principles. So as you go through this first
Where you can make a difference, a real difference. In our emergency care centre, every day offers new opportunities to make that kind of impact.
Whether it's our patients or their families we're caring for, we can honestly say
Don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon to never
Economic
miss
relations and international politics
Congress of the Soviet Communist Party brings us a
status or level of treatment accorded by one state to
gathering in the
another in
Kremlin, the
international
20th Congress of the
The
Soviet
term means
Communist
the
Party
country which is the
brings us a
recipient of this treatment must, nominally, receive equal trade advantages as the most favored nation by the politics. Most favored nation is a status or level of treatment accorded by one state to another in international trade.
is publicly criticized
Recipient
for
of
the
this
first time.
treatment must, nominally, receive equal trade advantages as the most favored nation by the country granting such.
So I was actually just talking with Todd and Harry here.
In the
about
1970s, the Red Army faction becomes
Todd
a synonym
and Harry
for
here
terrorism in the
about the
West Germany.
circumstances in which I moved from Northwest. Harry here about the circumstances in which I moved from Northwest.
An army of police scattered deep in the trees.
Ein Mord, bei dem behauptet wird, er diene einem politischen Zweck, bleibt nichtsdestoweniger Mord.
You do not need to worry about the trip. If you listen carefully to this brief, it will give you all the details that you require. You will also, of course, be in possession of the travel during your journey. You should have in your possession a travel pack which gives you all the details required for your journey along the Autobahn corridor. You do not need to worry about the trip. If you listen carefully to this brief, it will give you all the details that you require. You will also, of course, be in possession of the travel pack.
War. The central command post of the Eastern
The leaders of Germany and France have promised fresh sanctions on Russia if a second peace deal brokered Minsk is involved in any conflict in Ukraine is not observed. The agreement is signed with recent has largely been ignored by Russian militants who continue to attack several Ukrainian positions in the Donbass region. However, the European leaders added that punitive measures was not their main goal to resolve the conflict.
Fought the same battle.
If certain point, the leaders of Germany and France
Angela Merkel, the German Chancellor. But who is she really? More to the point, who was she? As a woman who grew... Angela Merkel, the German Chancellor. Angela Merkel, the German
Moscow Sky, to music by Boris Alexander, brilliant Anthony
part of it immense beginning regional. Being red host, and that's true in the business world too. Plenty of.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of Francis Focus. Concentrating on wine, which
and
here
that's
is
true in the
part
business
of the
world
national
too.
heritage. Yet, on the doorstep of Paris, a hectare of land maintained by local volunteers.
With taking the Ayatollah's money and sending it to support the Nicaraguan freedom fighters.
Well, we're going to start here in Surin.
Okay.
You can see the panorama of Paris.
Inshallah, we are live.
If you look around, you
Here, this is episode 73 of the Teen House.
In the greater Paris area.
I'm Jack Murphy. Over here on the other side of the table, co-host.
Harvest time at Surin Vineyard. The men and women cutting the grapes, however, are not seasonal workers, but rather seasonal volunteers.
Всем привет, друзья! Это IT-радио и программа «Бизнес-ланч» в эфире. Компания Люксофт Юрий Молчанов. Привет, Юрий.
Привет, Артем. Привет всем слушателям. Очень здорово на IT-радио познакомиться.
These were the faces of...
They're all broke. And why are they broke? It isn't an act of God. It isn't some sort of tsunami. Democratic society.
250 million people died in wars.
And films, etc. And as it is rightfully so, for EGS, we start with
This is an ideology that promises so-called equality and justice, but which...
President returns to power. Mikhail Gorbachev flying into Moscow
Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us here. FBI intelligence, or IAs for short, are involved in nearly every aspect of the FBI operations in every corner of the globe.
Der russische Musiker Förderer der Kultur.
Jalan-jalan di negara bule ya, di New Zealand. Ini indah sekali. Ini tepatnya di Wellington.
Kamusta mga kabayan? It's your
dengan saya Ana NZ. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Nah, di sini aku mengajak teman-teman jalan-jalan di negara bule ya, di New Zealand.
So hello sa inyo lahat.
Ini tempatnya di Wellington, teman-teman ya. Nah, saya mengajak
Communists claimed they were building a socialist paradise.
Climb into this 1970s Polish.
Most people think they created hell. It was quite different. What was life really like? Most people think they created hell on Earth.
Are actually taking organs out of humans while they're still alive and they're just paralyzed. Why is this something that the press hasn't carried? What you're talking about.
Communist world is weird the power of the ballot box. In the Soviet Union, the reformers have triumphed and hardliners have suffered unprecedented defeat. In Budapest, the Hungarian government is preparing for
the Soviet Union is a matter of practical fact.
Years of one-party rule.
As everybody knows,
that we can just leave enough time for discussion.
Suffered unprecedented defeats. In Budapest, the Hungarians
communists and spies were making monkeys out of us.
yesterday,
Years of one-party rule have been busy night and day. They're figuring out just
a few years ago, this march could not have taken place. Most people would have been too frightened to demonstrate. Those who did would have risked the rest.
ইউক্রেনের সীমান্ত যুদ্ধ নামমান
The relentless sweep of communism has radically changed the map of Europe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With your permission, I'll make a
Europe we know
statement
today
about
is considerably different from the one which existed a generation ago. Now it is a continent divided against itself. The Soviet Union replacing the old Tsarist.
Russlands Geheimdienste, schon immer gefürchtet und verklärt.
Ich bin sehr stolz, Mitglied des Geheimdienstes gewesen zu sein.
Thomas Bata runs the world's largest shoe company. This week on Enterprise, one man's multinational.
I'm Eric Sepper. In an economy like ours, assaulted by foreign influence.
Thomas Bata runs the world's largest shoe company. He's here in Sri Lanka to reward some of his workers for 25 years of loyal service. Is Bata a shrewd exploiter of cheap labor or a benefactor to employ?
Last night, President Putin flagrantly violated the mixed peace
अवैध
agreement
खनन घोटाले में आईएएस अधिकारी बी चंद्रकला से पूछताछ चल रही है। ये पूछताछ लखनऊ में ईडी के दफ्तर में चल रही है। और जानकारी इस पर ले लेते हैं हमारे सहयोगी जितेंद्र शर्मा इस वक्त हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं। जितेंद्र, क्या डिटेल्स है?
दमन किया था जो आईएएस हैं समय पर हैं, लेकिन उनको दमन किया था जो हमीरपुर के अंदर जो खनन मामला था उसको लेकर के पहले सीबीआई ने मामला दर्ज किया था और उसके
और जानकारी इस पर ले
what's going on for Vladimir Putin in terms of Russian politics today and those sorts of things. And I'd be very happy to answer your questions as we get through the talk here, okay?
Пустые прилавки в магазине уже вслух восклицает: «Жизнь моя, или ты приснилась мне?» Когда-нибудь в далеком будущем появятся рефераты на тему поэзии российской экономики в творчестве.
হ্যালো ফ্রেন্ডস, আমি সন্দীপ এন্ড আপনারা দেখছেন লার্নিং দুনিয়া 2.0 ইউটিউব চ্যানেল। তো ফ্রেন্ডস, আবার একবার দেখে নেবেন। তো দেখুন ফ্রেন্ডস, আপনারা কিন্তু জানেন আমাদের 2017 সালে যারা ক্যান্ডিডেট রয়েছেন চলেছে এই ভিডিওর মাধ্যমে। তো অবশ্যই আপনি যদি 2017 সালের একজন টেট কোয়ালিফাই করা ক্যান্ডিডেট
Du sagst mir sicher etwas Kindisches. Direkt weiter zur nächsten Powerpoint mit Helene Fischer.
Mein Name ist Jeremy Dicke auf der Anlage.
Man mag ja von Schlagermusik halten, was man will. Fest steht, Helene Fischer stellt definitiv alles auf den Kopf. Wir haben sie diese Woche zum Auftakt
Vielen herzlichen Dank, Helene. Sound like the Washington Post or New York Times, but it is indeed the oldest and largest nonprofit journalism organization devoted exclusively to investigative reporting. So why is there a need for this kind of journalism? Globalization and development have created extraordinary pressures from
18 years. Slogan, once used by East German secret police.
Bit of a nightmare, actually. Well, I've got all the ancestral CEOs from around the world in this room. In 10 minutes, the annual
Hello,
summit
I'm
is supposed to
Adela.
take place.
I am 30 years
They've flown
old.
thousands-
Hello, I am Adela. I am 30 years. Hello, I am Adela. I am 30 years old.
Cậu bé này đang tìm một chuỗi từ khóa cách tự sát mà không đau. Ấn tìm kiếm xong, liền hiện ra một tin quảng cáo nhỏ. Bên trên lại là an ủi cậu, đừng tự sát, chúng tôi sẽ giúp em báo thù. Phương thức liên hệ cũng được ghi rõ ràng. Cậu bé thì đã bị đầu gấu trưởng nhắm trúng. Trong giờ giải lao, đầu gấu đến gần mình.
Take it back! Ali! Where do you want that to go? Oh my God!
Ya orada.
गतकाली वर्तमान समय मध्य पानामा पेपर्स बाबद में आप अनेक कथा शुणुवे किंतु ए बाबद में आम आपको जनइबू जे क्यों भाव में जड़े धनिक श्रेणीर व्यक्ति टिकस फांकी कलाधन आकार में विदेश में निजर पुंजी जमा रखिपे तार विशद भाव में तथ्य धन आकार में विदेश में निजर पुंजी जमा रखिपे तार विशद भाव में तथ्य वर्तमान समय आम आपको देखा चाहबू और प्रथम जनइबू जे क्यों भाव में कलाधन को रखा जाए कलाधन गुमर निज देश में टिकस ठकी विदेश में विपुल कलाधन रखिबार है पर्दाफाश जहां नाम दिया जाउछि पानामा पेपर्स।
Исполнилось 10 лет со дня смерти первого мэра Санкт-Петербурга Анатолия Собчака. И 10 лет с тех пор, как в руководстве страны, так или иначе, недавно исполнилось 10 лет со дня смерти первого мэра Санкт-Петербурга Анатолия Собчака. И 10 лет
Marina Salyer has been a thorn in Vladimir Putin's side for Petersburg legislature back in 1992. She accused Putin, then the city's vice mayor, of
is full of sex shops, cheap hotels, and peep shows. Scantily clad women in shop windows openly offer their services. It's a lucrative business, says Setna, a Spaniard who has worked here for 4 years.
Необходимо распускать и законодательное собрание, и Государственную Думу, назначать новые выборы, потому что Государственная Дума, Федеральное собрание должно служить людям.
Mr. Igor, His Excellency, Mr. Igor Dodon.
Давно хотя бы этих. Следует лишить российского гражданства несколько десятков журналистов и выслать их в Чехию. Конец.
In 1703, Tsar Peter the Great founded his capital city, St. Petersburg, in the...
Mr. Igor Dodon, His Excellency.
Packing day for the Baron. They've left to Mecklenburg for Pommern. Martin Behrenbruck thinks back a decade ago to when he first came to Wolfsburg, where he landed at
Berlin 1990, die Mauer gerade gefallen, die Stadt ein Abenteuerspielplatz ohne Grenzen.
Der Humus für diese ganze Geschichte war natürlich diese im wahrsten Sinne des Wortes Freiräume.
Die alte Ordnung ist zusammengebrochen. Die Menschen erleben plötzlich einen Spielplatz ohne Grenzen.
Was ist unser Leben wert, wenn allein regiert das Schwert und die ganze Welt zerfällt?
Pag sinabi ng mami mo, matulog.
Matulog ka na. Huwag ka nang pasaway. Gusto mo? Kainin ko yung paa mo? Gusto mo? Kainin ko yung kamay mo? Para pagising mo, wala ka ng kamay, tsaka wala ka ng paa. Pag sinabi ng
But the country is turning to...
Hi, I think we need a more liberal view on crime and punishment.
Oh no, why?
The criminal justice system isn't compassionate enough.
Johnson
toward the victims
at our center who have worked hard to put this together.
Oh no.
And to you for coming. I thought the session, one of our projects at the center, which is what we call...
The communists claimed they were building a socialist paradise.
Of the Panama Papers revelations, Iceland.
My own circumstances first. Yesterday, I published all the information in
light
my
of this, I
tax
told
return.
As political parties go, they don't come any bigger than the CCP. The party now has close to 83 million members, which is almost...
Also a professor at Princeton. They're going to be talking about Robert Kaplan and Stephen Kotkin, who is a FBI senior fellow in our generation and also a professor at Princeton. They're going to be talking about China.
It has been recording. It has been edited, compiled,
Before we get started,
by Audible. Everyone, today we talk about the Western Eurasian Steppe Warriors.
This is the second
one.
This is the demo of the AQ-110. We gave our CAs.
Hello everybody, and a very warm welcome to today's stream. So this week I decided to do something a little bit your research and publication strategy at different stages of your career.
Welcome to this video on using sources effectively. This is the fourth video in our series. This is the third video in a series of 4 that we've done on plagiarism. So in this one we're
Hey everyone, I wanted to talk about what is going on in Russia right now as far as the ruble and price of gold and Russia possibly launching their gold-backed ruble. Here there's been a lot of discussion about that over the past couple of years, which country was going to get back onto the gold, and Russia possibly launching...
Люди не умеют красиво проживать свою жизнь. Именно в этом заключается люкс, в том, чтобы уметь красиво жить.
За окном самый центр красивой жизни. У Ксении Собчак сегодня серьезный жизненный выбор.
My
name is Matt Furman. I run corporate communications here at Google, and it's my pleasure to introduce Edward Lukitz. He's a London-based reporter for The Economist and a
Auch wenn es Elend und Grausamkeit gibt, der Mensch ist im
Furman.
Grunde
I run,
gut.
excuse me.
Und so lautet auch der Titel
I
seines
run corporate communications here at Google, and it's my pleasure to introduce Edward Lukitz. He's a London-based reporter for The Economist and a well-known expert on contemporary Russian politics. He has a long history of covering Eastern Europe.
This is the scene in For
this pivotal moment in U.S.-Russia relations, we're joined now by JFK, Wall Street, born on the 4th of July. Over the past 2 years, Stone conducted more than 20
nation that continues year after year to spend more money on military defense.
Nuclear arms race, the NSA.
Nation that continues year after year.
Debate the nuclear issue with American TV evangelist Jerry Falwell against all diplomatic advice. In 1984, David Longley was invited to the David Longley was invited to the Oxford Union to debate the nuclear issue with American TV evangelist Jerry Falwell. Against all diplomatic advice, he accepted. What happened at Oxford in early '85 is now a part of our history. In his autobiography, I've ever made,
за рубежом по международному гуманитарному сотрудничеству, а также спецпредставитель президента России по связям с государственными участниками СНГ. И, как всегда, в студии у нас интересный.
Ghana is hard. We are living in very tough times.
All right, everybody. Today we're going to work on Mackie SRM450.
Reminder, I
bought it and
flashback. Ghana is hard.
Which is this one. It's not working. For some reason, which is this one. They call it tweeter. 50 version 2. There's a powered speaker. One of the best speakers. That's what they say. I bought it, and the high frequency of this one, which is this one.
Order. Questions to the Prime Minister. Dr. Alan Whitehead.
That's what they say. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I bought it, and the high frequency of this one, which is this one.
In St. Petersburg. The Duma was to form the lower house of a new legislative assembly. Hello, and welcome to History Pod.
The elections earlier this month for the new Russian Duma brought ordinary people out in the biggest protests since the breakup of the old Soviet Union. Tens of thousands of Russians condemned the parliamentary poll as having been skewed in favor of the like this one. The new assembly's legitimacy is not only being questioned by many in the electorate. Independent observers have also talked about possible fraud at ballot boxes.
This is complexities of current Russian politics. Let me talk about some of the abiding basics in Russian political culture.
Сейчас еще до конца не подведены итоги, там осталось, да, по-моему,
самое главное, что мы гордимся страной стали, и это очень сильно чувствуется. То есть чувство патриотизма. Раньше мы очень часто ездим отдыхать за рубеж, 10 лет назад сказать, что ты из России, конечно, мы говорили, что мы из России, естественно, но...
बर्तिलेनी पुटिनको प्रेमिका पुटिनको प्रेमिकाको उपरे रागो सुझाइला ब्रिटेन लगाइला आर्थिक जातायात कटकणा बर्तिलेनी पुटिनको प्रेमिका पुटिनको प्रेमिकाको उपरे रागो सुझाइला ब्रिटेन लगाइला आर्थिक जातायात कटकणा पुटिनको प्रेमिका तथा पूर्व der neuen Ordnung und wenn man hinsieht 2014 रे पुटिनको ठारू छाड़ापत्र पाइथिबा ल्युडोमिलाको ब्रिटेन टार्गेट रे पुटिनको खानदान पुटिनको संपर्कीय भाई आइगोर पुटिन पुओ रोमान पुटिनको उपरे मध्य प्रतिबंधक लगाइछि ब्रिटेन
Subscribe for more news. Vladimir Putin's mistress Alina Kabeva
Putin's
is
alleged
allegedly hiding
girlfriend, Alina Kabeva, a politician, media boss, former Olympic gymnast, and if the rumors are
1 o'clock in the morning in Red Square, Mr. Putin spoke expansively on foreign affairs.
he held out the prospect, possibly, of a breakthrough in UK-Russia. We've just finished a 90-minute interview with President Vladimir Putin in the heart.
GDP.
Okay, Chuck, we're
was
live.
a private capitalist system, more or less.
At least after net, no.
Quasi-market, so-called new economic policy.
All right, thank you so much,
Early
everyone, for
1920s
joining
to
us
the
here
late
for our
1940s.
event
There was
today
no new economic
on
policy
war crimes
in
and whether or not Russia can be
Freedom.
tried for that. To get us started, I'd like to turn the floor over to our Institute Associate.
Airport still is functioning. It's very interesting at the moment to see the fact that this airport still is functioning. We drove towards a suicide attack. They say they found shrapnel in the form of screws and nuts, and it's very interesting at the moment to see the fact that this airport still is functioning.
Autumn 1999. A wave of bloody explosions swept through Russian
So let's start with the big story that we're tracking on Beyond this hour, where Russians are voting in local elections. These polls will be scrutinized.
But in the capital city again, explosion totally destroyed a 7-story building.
He sits astride a corrupt state.
He has got so many guilty secrets, so much money's been stolen, so many people have been killed.
This is a president with an astonishing past.
If you put these people in the United States or in Canada and check what they've done, they're criminals.
I'm Gillian Findlay, and this.
A tired-looking figure who rarely appeared in public.
In blowing up Russia, former KGB agent Alexander Litvinenko takes on Vladimir Putin and Russian espionage. He claims that the Russian president is using Secret Service operatives to maintain control of the country. Mr. Litvinenko was poisoned in 2006 and passed away 3 weeks later.
The wealth of 29-year-old Katerina Tikhonova and her...
President Vladimir Putin is facing the heat from the West as a result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine and war atrocities.
August 1961, the German Democratic Republic
President Vladimir Putin is facing the heat from the West
began construction
as a result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine and war atrocities. Russia, along with this heat from
And here's
the
He's
West,
So Fun.
Russia, along with President Putin, Russian businessmen, politicians, and others have been
Obviously, they're not
subjected to some of
identical.
the
They feature
most
different
severe
tonalities,
economic
tempos,
sanctions
structures,
imposed by
instrumentation,
European
and
countries
musical
and the
characters.
United
But they
States.
are very similar.
Putin's daughters are now facing the consequences of their father's decision to impose war on
Where every day is filled with bears, shirtless horseback riding,
the communist rule in East Germany.
Checkpoints across Berlin have finally buckled. All the extraordinary political pressures racking this frontline communist state. The authorities had wanted them to wait, but like so much in today's East Germany, they'd simply lost control.
Welcome back. Thanks very much for staying on with us
Departing
here on...
East Germans were given a tumultuous welcome to the West.
It's a crucial few
You described the protest movement as...
Joe Biden will be meeting Russian President Vladimir. Vice. It's a crucial few hours ahead as U.S. President Joe Biden will be meeting Russian President Vladimir Putin. These are the latest images.
Prosecute the offenders. These are their stories. I'll say there's one consensual sex with equally important groups. The police who investigate crime and the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders. These are their stories.
NATO's next summit will take place in Madrid in a few.
Граждане России.
Нет, я...
Или при... Дорогие друзья.
Нет, я...
Сегодня... Дорогие друзья. Сегодня вновь считаю необходимым вернуться к трагическим событиям в происхождении России. Дорогие друзья, сегодня вновь считаю необходимым вернуться к трагическим
nedeniyle mali sıkıntıda olan WikiLeaks gizli belgeleri yayımlamayı durduracağını açıkladı. WikiLeaks'e uygulanan engelleme de bir süredir bağış yapılamazken internet
I think it is worthwhile to ensure that they are
Товарищи офицеры, генералы и адмиралы, товарищи солдаты и матросы, сержанты и старшины, мичманы.
Members of Congress. Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you His Excellency Kyriakos Mitsotakis, Prime Minister of the Hellenic Republic.
The whistleblowing website WikiLeaks has begun publishing what it says are 5.5 million emails obtained from the servers of Stratfor, a private U.S.-based intelligence gathering firm known to some as a shadow CIA.
Vladimir Putin served as president of Russia from 2000 to 2008 and was re-elected to the presidency in 2012. He previously served as Russia's prime minister.
Next, Senate Intelligence Committee Chairman Arlen Specter and Vice Chairman Bob Kerrey and CIA Director John Deutsch. The senators briefed reporters on their closed-door hearing on damage assessment in the Aldrich Ames case. Mr. Deutsch.
Anthony K. Brown, who was St. John.
Prime Minister Stephen K.
He was capable of his problems.
Number one, sir.
For a character in this book in his own right. He was a character in this book in his own right. He was in his own right. He was recruited at an earlier age into a very privileged.
Si racconta che da giovane agente del KGB di stanza a Dresda, Vladimir Putin abbia brindato con alcuni colleghi all'imminente fine dell'Unione Sovietica già nel 1985, alla notizia della morte di Cernieni, il vecchio segretario.
On May the 13th, On May the 13th, 1988.
Proceedings is available to watch on Parliament Live TV. We now come to questions to Prime Minister Dr. Neil Hudson.
Suppose countries like people could shift from one neighborhood to another. To me, was Vladimir Putin humbled by, or at least at first.
Putin, we haven't terminated that meeting. I was thinking about it, but we haven't. They'd like to have it. I think it's a very good time to have the meeting.
45 minutes later, Trump canceled the meeting, citing Russia's aggression toward Ukrainian ships earlier this week. It underscored that for all the or at least at first.
I probably will be meeting with President Putin. We haven't terminated that meeting. I was thinking about it, but we haven't. They'd like to have it. I think it's a very good time to have the meeting.
45 minutes later, Trump canceled the meeting, citing Russia's aggression toward Ukrainian ships earlier this week. It underscored that for all the allegations of coziness, news about the Cohen plea overshadowed the fact that Trump was leaving this meeting.
Mingling with the rush hour traffic, Red Army armored personnel carriers on the streets of Moscow this morning.
Die Beisetzung unter Kanonendonner findet
Heading
am
to the
Freitag
Kremlin.
exakt 80
They
Jahre
first
nach der
moved in
Ermordung
at
Nikolais
4
II.
a.m.
und seiner
Take that
Gattin
free.
und seiner 5 Kinder. Aus London und Montevideo, aus Biarritz und aus Boston sind sie gekommen, um der gemeuchelten Zarenfamilie die letzte Ehre zu erweisen. 9 Särge vorweg auf dem Weg in die St. Petersburger Katharinenkapelle. Dahinter 52 Mitglieder des über alle Welt verstreuten. Dahinter 52 Mitglieder des über alle Welt verstreuten Romanov-Clans. Die Beisetzung Clans. Die Beisetzung unter dahinter 52 die Ehre zu erweisen. 9 Särge vorweg auf dem Weg in die St. Petersburger Katharinenkapelle. Dahinter 52 Mitglieder des über alle Welt verstreuten.
There are 16 different federal agencies gathering intelligence for the U.S. government. In 2004, the 17th, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence was set up to oversee them all. Here's what to know about America's intelligence community and how the different branches operate. Start with the armed forces. Each service has at least one major intelligence organization to support its information needs. Then there are intelligence departments. Those are the
Russian President Vladimir Putin to the head of state.
Embedded in other government agencies to enable their missions.
Settlement of the conflict.
The Office of National Security Intelligence, which analyzes major drug cartels and facilitates counter-narcotics efforts. The Office of Intelligence
Distinguished colleagues, participants, and organizers of the
foreign nuclear
conference,
weapons and global.
I am thankful for the opportunity to speak in front of you and to share some of the
There are
thoughts.
16 different federal agencies gathering intelligence for the U.S.
car il est le nouvel homme
There
fort
are
du Burkina
16
Faso,
different federal agencies gathering intelligence for the
Paul-Henri
U.S.
Sandaogo
government.
d'Amiba.
In 2004, the 17th, the Office of the Director of National...
High Commissioner for Human Rights.
We're back in session again, and I want to...
War crimes, grave breaches of international High Commissioner for Human Rights has spoken of possible war crimes.
Той фарс, який сепаратисти називають референдумом.
Now in Libya in 1969, long time ago. Do you have thoughts on who might succeed you?
يعني أنا تركت السلطة من عام 97.
I gave up power or authority since 1976.
Declare the said Mugabe, Robert Gabriel, these
postcommand.org
Hello everyone, thank you for joining the webinar Speaking Truth to Power, Singapore's Pioneer Public Service.
The oligarchs
We have two
power in the new
speakers
Russia.
power,
Follow six men who
he's
benefited
also
from
a
Russia's change from
political
communism to
analyst.
capitalism. Author David Hoffman is foreign.
Consolidating its leadership, but with diminished ruling African National Congress is consolidating. Africa's ruling African National Congress is consolidating its leadership.
Rusya, İran, Çin, Türkiye ve İslam alemi
STOA is a digital campfire where we can
Tarihi Suç Mutabakatı'nın biri dünya düzeni için önemli bir adım oldu. Türkiye'nin kurtuldu.
Türkiye'de Rusya bir araya gelerek
My name is Alan and I'm sitting outside the UBC farm here. Hi, my name is Alan Sands, and I'm sitting outside the UBC farm here at the University of British Columbia. Welcome to the Global Politics Instructional Video Series.
By Foreign Affairs.
In this series, we are looking at a number of the key concepts relevant to the study of global politics and international relations. And today, we are looking at the United Nations Security Council. Now, the United Nations Security Council is one of the principal organs of the United Nations.
Last September 2015. It was on the Russian political theorist Ivan Ilyin, 20th century, and this was occasioned by an article done by Foreign Affairs, published in Foreign Affairs Journal last September 2015. It was on the Russian political theorist Ivan
Somali lawmakers began to election, but the tone is very much different this time around.
Internet speed has become an election issue and has been one of the most presidential and vice presidential debates.
MPs voted in the afternoon under tight
one of the slowest internet connections in the world.
At 7 p.m. that has lasted well over a year.
Virginia, Georgia, and in terms of what we can project at this hour. p.m. Eastern. We've got poll closings in Kentucky, South Carolina, Vermont, Virginia.
Is very much different this time around. The Progressive Conservative Party have been promoting the endorsements of constructors and trade unions.
Thank you.
Welcome to St. Andrews. Welcome to St. New Hampshire and the first Republican presidential debate in this first-in-the-nation primary state.
The Speaker of the National Assembly, strength, and it will continue stronger than ever. Honorable members of
Right, luckily released on Monday by the country's Cameroon's disputed election.
This has been our strength. Unity
Tuesday,
in our caucus has been our strength.
Harambe House. Tuesday, 8 a.m., Harambe House.
An unprecedented wave of protests has seen Russians take to the streets this year in the biggest challenge to Vladimir Putin's rule since he first came to power, by anger over the perception of US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton.
Welcome to Washington Hospital. Welcome to Washington Hospital today. A program dedicated to sharing timely information about the community hospital.
Let's start with the big story that we are tracking this morning, where voting has begun and is presently underway in Russia. All right, now to discuss the presidential polls, which is in fact
Abkhaz sharing video links on social media alleging violations across the country.
Clips taken
in election polling stations have cried foul, sharing video links on social media alleging violations. Have cried foul, sharing video links on social media alleging violations across the country.
The size of the country requires one of the largest election operations in the world. In the Pacific city of Petropavlovsk, people in Russia are voting in a presidential election on Sunday in which Vladimir
Премьер-министр Польши Моровецкий заявил, что русский мир представляет собой угрозу для всей Европы. Более того, Моровецкий призвал полностью уничтожить эту чудовищную идеологию, которая, как он выразился, является...
Russian traditions, the Russian food, Russian weather, racism, how it is to be Russian, and a few other things, like maybe my most hilarious encounter here, and just generally my experiences. Just generally my experiences.
President today at the White House to outline stiff sanctions that he wants to use to punish the Kremlin for the invasion of Ukraine. These sanctions, he said, have gone farther than anything the United States has done.
Russia that will concern you, because in some of the surrounding countries, remittances from Russia play a very large role. So even those countries are importers of oil. The remittances.
Let us now cross to SABC News correspondent in Russia, Stuart Smith, for the latest of today's round of talks.
During my conversations in Europe, we talked about what else we could do to ensure that we went after Russia's war machine.
Поэтому я надеюсь, что, посмотрев этот фильм, у вас появится большее желание, играть в
Hello and welcome to our Youth Parliament, joint initiative of the Times of India and Times.
For this week's vote on
Nearly 78% of Russian voters,
including leading scientists,
renowned experts in technology,
in the
book authors,
Russian
and leading
President Vladimir Putin's constitutional reform. As Russia prepares for this week's vote on
the
Russian President Vladimir
Commission
Putin's
announced this Thursday after all the ballots were counted. According to the Commission, there was no case of fraud reported. This vote is a forgery, but above all,
ଫିନଲ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡର ଚୂଡ଼ାନ୍ତ ଘୋଷଣା ନାଟୋ ସଦସ୍ୟତା ପାଇଁ ଖୁବ୍ ଶୀଘ୍ର ଆବେଦନ ନିଷ୍ପତ୍ତି ଘୋଷଣା କଲେ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରପତି ସାଉଲି ନିସିସ୍ତୋ ଓ ପ୍ରଧାନମନ୍ତ୍ରୀ ସାନା ମାରିନ୍ ଅବିଳମ୍ବେ ନାଟୋର ସଦସ୍ୟତା ପାଇଁ ଆବେଦନ କରିବ ଫିନଲ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡ ଦୀର୍ଘ ଦଶନ୍ଧି ଧରି ନିରପେକ୍ଷ ନୀତିରେ କାଏମ ଥିଲା ଫିନଲ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡ ୟୁକ୍ରେନ ଆକ୍ରମଣ ପରେ ନିଜ ସୁରକ୍ଷାକୁ ଗୁରୁତ୍ୱ ଦେଇଛି ରୁଷର ଏହି ପଡ଼ୋଶୀ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର ଅନ୍ୟ ପଡ଼ୋଶୀ ସ୍ୱିଡେନ ମଧ୍ୟ ନାଟୋରେ ସାମିଲ ହେବାକୁ ଆଗ୍ରହ ଦେଖାଇଛି ଅବିଳମ୍ବେ ନାଟୋର ସଦସ୍ୟତା ପାଇଁ ଆବେଦନ କରିବ ଫିନଲ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡ
The theory is Ukraine could get Russian gas. The theory is Ukraine could get Russian gas that's been sent to European Union countries such as Germany and Hungary. It would then be redirected back through Poland and Slovakia. Imports from other countries such as liquefied gas tanked in from the US is also possible. This analyst says today there are a number of options to get the gas to Germany from anywhere in the world and then transit it to Slovakia.
And this time we got more information talking about further reform.
What our department-wide effort to identify and
and invest in innovative ways to sustain
the program specialist on citizen security in section the program specialist on citizen security in section gender-based violence based on IRH, and I am also the coordinator of CTEC. And today we have with us Alejandro Alvarez, our team leader on
Russian President Dmitry Medvedev has said that provocateurs and extremists will not be allowed to interfere with society. He's been giving his last State of the Nation address before members of Russia's Federal Assembly, the lower and upper house. The president spoke about launching a sweeping program of political reforms in the wake of street protests over recent parliamentary polls, which critics claim were rigged. People have the right to express their
What's my name again?
The third talk and the fifth series.
What's my name again?
Energy policy instruments, so tools that policymakers have in their hands.
Oh, well, I'm actually
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students.
For the energy system. And the topics that we're going to cover, first of all, very quickly,
कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट्स के ऊपर है. काफी स्टूडेंट्स ने इसके बारे में कहा है कि सर काइंडली इसके ऊपर एक ब्रीफ सिलेक्शन. बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम. अस्सलाम वालेकुम डियर स्टूडेंट्स, कैसे हैं आप?
Tools that policymakers have at their come to week 5 of the Sustainable Energy Module, and this week we're going to talk about energy policy instruments. So what tools that policymakers have at their hands.
The price of oil has been steadily rising over the last number of months, but in recent weeks the price has shot up to a 7-year high on the back of the Russia-Ukraine conflict.
There's been a drastic drop in the price of oil, which has fallen even more precipitously than it rose. In a year's time, a commodity that was theoretically priced according to supply and demand doubled from 69.
And we'll go through 3 different types of
About the only economic break most Americans have gotten in the last 6 months.
Trip to the Black Sea Peninsula since its annexation from Ukraine in March. Russian President Vladimir Putin made a triumphant visit to Crimea Friday, speaking before tens of thousands.
Brest signed a treaty that will incorporate the Ukrainian capital after security.
This is Crimea. It's violent. It's 3 years since Russia Crimea. It's 3 years since Russia annexed the dangerous tensions.
Thousands turned out for
Welcome to my YouTube channel.
Nationalist
आज का
bravado.
हमारा टॉपिक है
But
इकोनॉमिक
it's not
रिफॉर्म्स.
just Vladimir Putin
बहुत
and
ही
the Russians
इंटरेस्टिंग
who have a
एंड
passion.
मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट टॉपिक है, इसलिए मैं आपको सजेस्ट करूंगा मेरे साथ इस वीडियो के अंत तक बने रहिए. वीडियो के अंत तक बने रहिए, और इस वीडियो के एंड पे मैं आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछूंगा जिसका आंसर आपने कमेंट बॉक्स में करना है.
We're rejecting Russian. And now it's time to determine whether or not the pro-growth package will actually work. Video. CFR is an independent national.
आज के भारत को देखिए तो दिखाई देती है बाजारों की चमक दमक, सड़कों पर दौड़ती तरह तरह की गाड़ियां.
I'm Sebastian Manabe. I work here at the Council on Foreign Relations. Welcome to the 3rd annual.
This is at the best of noisy, chaotic, stressful places at the best of times.
आज के भारत को देखिए, तरह तरह की गाड़ियां, बड़े बड़े मॉल और उनमें दुनिया भर के ब्रांड.
As we know, Russia's now planning a major military modernization program.
I'm Carolyn Prasuti with the VOA Special English Economics Report.
On new armament.
Unrest in North Africa and the Middle East pushed oil prices back into the news. Prices rose at their fastest level since 2008. Libya is not among the 10 largest oil exporters. But the rebellion against Libyan leader
Many Russians hold their country's police in low regard. A recent survey by the Levada Center Polling Service in Moscow shows that 67%
Human Rights was launched by the Internal Security Minister George Saitorsky. By the end of July this year, the team is expected to give the police force a facelift. The team is mandated to propose radical changes aimed at turning the police force into an efficient and effective security service.
हम लाते हैं टॉप न्यूज आपके फेवरेट टॉक शोज और अनलिमिटेड एंटरटेनमेंट सिर्फ यूट्यूब पर। अगर आपने अभी तक हमारे टॉक शोज और अनलिमिटेड एंटरटेनमेंट सिर्फ यूट्यूब पर अगर आपने एंटरटेनमेंट सिर्फ यूट्यूब पर अगर आपने अभी तक हमारा चैनल सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया तो अभी सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल आइकॉन को क्लिक करके हमारी लेटेस्ट वीडियो।
They cannot succeed without hundreds and hundreds of telegrams from all corners of the Philippines congratulating
President
you
George Bush addresses the nation with an outline of his national
the
drug
proclamation
policy.
of martial law. See that the reaction throughout the country is favorable.
This is the first time since taking the oath of office that
all
I've known
corners
is so important, so threatening, that it warranted talking directly with you, the American people. Taking the oath of office that I felt an issue was so important, so threatening, that it warranted talking directly with you, the American
Today,
people.
our fellow citizens,
all of us agree that
our
the
way of
bravest
life, our very freedom.
National drug policy.
When the president travels,
Good evening.
notably
This
when he
is the
travels
first
abroad,
time
and
since taking the oath of office that I
especially in a circumstance like that, where there's obviously it's a big venue with a lot of people, the Secret Service works very hard to take the necessary precautions.
Good evening. Today, our way of life, our very freedom.
The fighting between Russia and Georgia over the Georgian breakaway is unacceptable. Vice President Cheney said Russia's invasion must not go unanswered. Alex Ross.
University of Otago.
Russia's invasion must not go unanswered. Alex Rossi of Sky News has the latest developments from Georgia. Alex, you're in Gori, near the border with South
During this visit to Georgia, Vice President
After your nation won its freedom, those were
surgeons at UCLA.
I mean,
we'll be talking
I've
to
seen
you
the
today
Russians
about
continue to
thyroid
flow
nodules
in
and thyroid cancer, what you need to know. So please ask
enablers,
questions on Twitter
capabilities that
using
will
the
help them
Fight
in the Donbass
are
going
brought
forward.
here about 200 kilometers away to receive treatment. It's a deal brokered by the UN in
command and control enablers.
Understand
what is going on in Afghanistan,
Putin's war in Chechnya.
We even looked at NATO's no-fly zones in Bosnia and Libya. But tonight we're going to begin by addressing the elephant in the
Today
room.
we heard from the Azov regiment, the battalion that's holding that steel plant, the fighters left in Mariupol that are continuing to fight on. That according to them, 34 Russian aircraft in the last 24 hours
Gosh, I don't know. I guess
over
just
this
laugh.
steel
We've been trying to do it for years, and finally we set a date, and it worked out perfectly. So we're here.
overnight. In fact, they've been coming for the last several days. The
I
humanitarian
don't know, I guess
situation in
just
Ukraine
laugh.
is
We've been trying to
crisis
for years.
of credit.
Finally, we set a date.
Face fresh international
worldwide
condemnation. One U.S. defense security check
detention have received a warm welcome in Turkey. International condemnation of
U.S.
President
Some of the U.S.'s main trading partners have criticized President Donald Trump for authorizing new tariffs on aluminium and steel imports. France said there would be only losers in the event of a trade war, while China labeled the decision a serious attack on international trade.
Middle East correspondent Ben Knight.
Some of the U.S.'s main trading partners have criticized President Donald Trump for authorizing new tariffs on aluminium and steel imports. France said there would be only losers in the event.
Aid on an aid convoy is continuing, but Israel is
The House
President
is set to
Donald
vote on a
Trump.
war powers resolution tomorrow that would aim to limit President Trump.
And joins me now from Washington. He's the senior editor for the War Powers. A lot of the time in the media here.
Están investigando el orden del fuego que condujo al norte del mar
From China to
As Russia and
North Korea
continue
to
arguing
Iran.
over gas shipments,
And let's not
European
forget the global pandemic.
continue arguing over gas shipments. European countries are calling for the gas flow to be restored during a week of freezing weather without Russian gas. In a meeting with his Bulgarian and Slovakian counterparts, Russian Prime Minister Vladimir Putin said Russia is doing its best to resume gas supplies to As Russia and Ukraine continue arguing over gas shipments, European countries are calling for the gas flow to be restored during a week of freezing weather without Russian gas. In a meeting with his Bulgarian and Slovakian counterparts, Russian Prime Minister Vladimir Putin said Russia is doing its best to resume gas supplies to Europe.
At some point I will make you disappear. Welcome all. Sorry for the...
Good, thanks.
At the edge of the Abu Adahu Air Force Base, fighters gather for prayer.
The Malian army says a jihadist attack on a military camp in the country's central region on Friday killed 27 soldiers.
The following tutorial has been prepared by the staff of the business. Following tutorial has been prepared by the staff of the business library. You're
collect their weapons, finish prayer.
They will be able to trust what we put in.
They expect us to have the same type of objectivity that they're familiar with.
At the edge of the Abu Adahu Air Force Base, fighters gather for eat. At the edge of the Abu Adahu Air Force Base, fighters gather for evening prayers. At the edge of the Abu Adahu Air Force Base, fighters gather for evening prayers. They are interrupted.
Dr. Evil. I didn't spend 6 years in evil medical school to be called Mr.
A mortar round lands just behind their building.
This will not be quick.
Night time in Narva, the Estonian city on the border with Russia. The army preparing for a military parade. 60 ranks in Ukraine, the Estonian government government has pushed for an increased NATO presence
16 kinds of bread, 16 kinds of bread, 19 employees and full order books. As a business, this bakery takes...
The statement from the United Nations chief also acknowledged that many United States, despite a stubbornly high death toll, now averaging deployment of vaccines, a shift that has started in the United States. The statement from the United Nations. The statement from the United Nations chief The statement from the
broadcast interview is making news, and for more details, I'm joined in by our correspondent Julia Chapman, who's joining us live from Moscow this hour. Julia, a very warm welcome to you. Now, let me begin by asking you: is the Russian president using the U.S. government's handling of the pandemic and the Black Lives Matter protests to cover up his own hollow handling of the Russian president, using the U.S. government's handling of the pandemic itself as a major player in race for the coronavirus? For more details, I'm joined in by our correspondent Julia Chapman.
Out of the pandemic, as well as deals done directly between states, some Russian companies abroad hope to import and donate doses.
3 days. In the last 42 hours, Russia
Between the years 1917 to 1990, the Orthodox Russian people suffered the yoke of communist.
In this video from November 2017, Russian President Vladimir Putin is visiting Syria to inspect Russian troops on the ground. As Syrian President Bashar al-Assad rushes to
Last
catch
night, my
up,
family and our home
Assad
was
is held back
blessed
so
to
that
receive
Putin
the
can walk on a low.
miraculous
To
Kirk
many,
route
this
to place
moment sends
This miraculous icon was given by the Mother of God in 1292 to the Russian people. I'm not going to stand and hold it like this, put down for a moment, but I just wanted to show this. It's beautiful.
Tuning in with Consumer Resource again. Today I wanted to show a lot of people that have been watching my videos about this really great site I've been using for about 2 months now. And, it's only been up.
Ukrainian forces pushing Putin's army
really
back
great site I've
closer
been
to
using for about 2 months now.
Ukraine releasing a
And,
video Tuesday that it says
it's
shows a
only been
strike
up about 2 months. It's a brand new site, and it has an extremely high Alexa ranking, which is really good for anyone that is trying to advertise for a very, very small price. I think it's less than $10 a month, but and it has an extremely high Alexa ranking, which is really good for.
Were then taken on buses. This is seen steel plant in Mariupol calling them steel plant in Mariupol calling them quote surrendered militants. About 600 soldiers
of arming and supporting the rebels after a
who were then taken on buses.
75-page UN report.
In the hierarchy of human beings whose footprints on history can never be erased, for good or ill, he was perhaps unique.
Killed nearly 1 million people.
He was small and unkempt, brilliant and pitiless and unforgettable.
Interview with Paul Kagame in
For good or ill.
I asked him.
In the hierarchy of human beings whose footprints on history can never be erased, for good or ill, he was perhaps unique.
We have with us Karl Marx, the founder of modern socialism and author of the Communist
Muy buenas a todos amigos, bienvenidos a la arena de la lucha política, Ludus Política.
Writer, statesman and father of modern socialism, Che Guevara, the Bolivian guerrilla leader.
Hay quienes le llaman pequeña corrupción, pero esto no tiene nada de pequeño. Para obtener una licencia, para recibir educación y atención médica. Es hora de acabar con la corrupción.
वामपंथियों को हारना पड़ा, 25 साल बाद बड़ी सरकार को हारना पड़ा और अब बीजेपी की सरकार सत्ता में आ रही है। दिल्ली की खबर जैसे ही आई उसके बाद इसके बाद भारत में बहस के केंद्र में आप भी सोच रहे होंगे आखिर में है कौन। नमस्कार, मैं पंकज कुमार।
Today's topic is diphtheria.
Every 3 hours, 20 million people dies from diphtheria. He personally signed the death warrant. Do you realize what an unprotected child will suffer if diphtheria strikes from diphtheria? The modern industry. Do you realize what an unprotected child will suffer if diphtheria strikes? Diphtheria germ.
This boy is not expected to live. He was not immunized.
The BBC went to March this year to look into
Simon Skinner, you know. Me not Nazi, me not Ku Klux Klan, no. Some me no racist, I mean Skinner, you know. Just Skinner.
numbers of children with serious
travels along the route Also beginning this week, C-SPAN travels along the route Alexis de Tocqueville took in 1831 and 32, retracing the steps of the author of Democracy in America. We take a fresh look at the concepts he wrote about and their relevance to issues facing America today.
ഡിഫ്തീരിയ ബാധിച്ച ഒരു ഒരാഴ്ചക്കിടെ മലപ്പുറം ജില്ലയിൽ ഡിഫ്തീരിയ പേടി പടരുകയാണ്. കോഴിക്കോട് മെഡിക്കൽ കോളേജ് ആശുപത്രിയിൽ കഴിഞ്ഞ
ദിവസം മുമ്പ് കൊണ്ടോട്ടിയിൽ ചികിത്സ തേടിയിരുന്നു.
കഴിഞ്ഞ 4 ദിവസമായി കോഴിക്കോട് മെഡിക്കൽ കോളേജ് ആശുപത്രിയിലെ തീവ്രപരിചരണ വിഭാഗത്തിൽ ചികിത്സയിലായിരുന്നു. അമീറിന് പുറമെ മറ്റ് 2 കുട്ടികൾ കൂടി മെഡിക്കൽ കോളേജിൽ ചികിത്സയിലുണ്ട്. എല്ലാവരും പ്രതിരോധ കുത്തിവയ്പ് എടുക്കാത്തവരാണ്.
പല കാരണങ്ങൾ പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ടും വിമുഖത കാണിക്കുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ ഇനി കുട്ടികളെ മുന്നോട്ട് കൊണ്ടുവന്ന് പ്രതിരോധ കുത്തിവയ്പ് എടുത്തില്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇനിയും ഡിഫ്തീരിയ വരാനുള്ള സാധ്യതയുണ്ട്.
Before Hitler, Germany had been deep in economic depression. Before Hitler, unemployment had to regain our place among the leader of the girl nations of the world. Unemployment had stood at 7 million. Before Hitler, Germany was a democracy. The Versailles Treaty. He pulled out of disarmament talks.
Die gewaltbereiten Hooligans des russischen Fußballs.
The Versailles Treaty had left Germany.
Die Prügeltruppe jedenfalls ins beschauliche München reisen, nach dem. Anna Sadovnikova war schneller und hat die unerwünschten Gäste schon mal vorab in St. Petersburg.
Es ist wieder soweit. Einmal im Jahr veröffentlicht Transparency International und somit auch das Austrian Chapter den Corruption Perception Index. Er listet Länder nach dem Grad auf, in dem dort Korruption bei Amtsträgern und Politikern wahrgenommen wird. Er listet Länder nach dem Grad auf, in dem dort Korruption bei Amtsträgern und Politikern wahrgenommen wird.
Hello and welcome to the Global Forecast from the Economist Intelligence Unit. I'm Tony McMahon.
Protesten gegen Wahlmanipulation.
Hello and welcome to the Global Forecast from the Economist Intelligence Unit.
Schweren Ausschreitungen zwischen Demonstranten und Polizisten.
Good afternoon and welcome to a packed Olympic Stadium München for the second
Belarus in der Nacht nach der Präsidentenwahl. Bei Protesten gegen Wahlmanipulation ist es zu schweren Ausschreitungen zwischen Demonstranten und Polizisten gekommen. Belarus in der Nacht nach der Präsidentenwahl. Bei Protesten gegen Wahlmanipulation ist es zu schweren Ausschreitungen.
нашли сегодня орков. Путин, ты хуйло знай, и весь твой русский мир погибнет вместе с тобой. Чеченцев не видел, конечно, но пахнет вот этими писюнами по стенам, которые разлетелись. Пойдемте покажу.
Серед білорусів сьогодні є парад.
Rusro, ସୈନିକଙ୍କୁ ମଧ୍ୟ ବାଛୁଛନ୍ତି ରୁଷର କିଛି ଯୋଉ ଗୁଳି ଗୋଳା ତାକୁ ସେମାନେ ନଷ୍ଟ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ରୁଷର ଯୋଉ ଟ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ଗୁଡ଼ିକ ରହିଛି ତାକୁ ସେମାନେ ନଷ୍ଟ କରୁଛନ୍ତି।
Тут esta. Ueda, stai că dăm dantura pus, stai că dăm dantura pus.
Но во дворе НКВД перед отступлением были расстреляны 10 вот таких приспешников фашизма. Какая степень их вины, это мне неизвестно. Знал я только о том, что там был доктор Крубы. Говорили, что у него нашли радиостанцию.
Soviétique n'a pas de cœur. Celui qui la regrette n'a pas d'intelligence. Être le trait d'union entre l'histoire d'hier et la Russie. Pour ce document, ce portrait de l'ascension d'un homme qui a replacé la Russie au cœur du monde place maintenant au décryptage de l'actualité. Une phrase d'abord qui résume bien les choses. Elle est signée Vladimir Poutine, celui qui ne
с момента, когда он приехал в Москву в 96 году. На пустом месте, на основании своих бесед с ним долгих.
Celui qui ne regrette pas l'Union soviétique, celui qui la regrette.
Welcome all to the Council on Foreign Relations. I'm Mark Lagon, and I'm Adjunct Senior Fellow for Human Rights. I'm Adjunct Senior Fellow for...
Это еще и потому, что это же рядом с нами. Мы совсем здесь. Мы не за...
Застрелись, офицер!
In November,
Russia is not a country that can be conquered or occupied. Such a country is
.16.
Voi cânta bunătatea și drama, energia pe care o risipeam în căutări inutile și frământări zadarnice, este pusă în slujba ascultării. În legătură cu cerul, omul devine astfel de nebiruit.
System
was one of the Leninist system was one of the greatest blows that
the urgent task of our movement
suffered in the
November
20th century,
published in
maybe
December
second only to
1900
fascism.
number 1.
I mean, as Lenin
Published
took
according to
power
history.
on its first day.
Drama, the whole culture, particularly the religion of the whole.
Our picks for the top 10 communists who had a major impact on the emergence and states throughout the world. Had a major impact on the emergence and growth of
If
communist
everyone
states
agrees
throughout
to
the world.
pause for a moment, it's kind of pretty to look at. But a free throw would never work in the middle of the action. I'm not gonna say that judo throws don't work. So Flacco's gonna say it for me.
This is my assistant, Tim Oshel. And today we're going. My name is Vlad Kulikov.
They then stand and take one step forward with their left foot to assume she's a hontai or
Estoy hecho de sudor. Estoy hecha de trabajo en equipo. Estoy hecha del próximo punto. Estoy hecho de sudor.
Depending on your timing, it could be done more.
18 bis 1883.
Er gehört zu den einflussreichsten Philosophen und Gesellschaftstheoretikern aller Zeiten. So begabt Marx auf allen Gebieten.
Debating meaning of things. For me, it's however people use myself an atheist.
If you're a crazy guy trying to like attack religions and blame everything on religions and stuff, and there's no proof for God. Let me address two things here. First and foremost, we are brought up thinking that everything that
നായ്ക്കളെ നിയന്ത്രിക്കാൻ സംസ്ഥാന സർക്കാരിന്റെ പുതിയ പദ്ധതി സേഫ് കേരള എന്ന് പേരിട്ടിരിക്കുന്ന പദ്ധതി പ്രകാരം ഒരു പട്ടിയെ വന്ധ്യംകരിക്കാൻ എത്തിച്ചാൽ 250 രൂപ കിട്ടും. സ്വന്തം വീട്ടിലെ പട്ടിക്കും ഈ തുക കിട്ടും. പദ്ധതി ഒക്ടോബർ 1 മുതൽ
మత్తు పదార్థాల వల్ల దుష్పరిణామాలపై ప్రముఖ
സംസ്ഥാനത്ത് രൂക്ഷമായതോടെയാണ് പുതിയ പദ്ധതിയുമായി സർക്കാർ മുന്നോട്ട് വരുന്നത്. രാവിലെ തിരുവനന്തപുരത്ത് മന്ത്രിമാരായ മഞ്ഞളാംകുഴി അലിയും പങ്കെടുത്ത കോർഡിനേഷൻ യോഗമാണ് ഇതിന് അന്തിമ രൂപം
Active military sieges in began. Nazi Germany's Lebensraum foreign policy, September 1941, the siege of Leningrad, one of the longest and most destructive military. Hello,
Leningrad, ein Eckpfeiler der Sowjets an der Nordfront, ist nun von allen Seiten eingeschlossen. Deutsche Kampfflugzeuge greifen die bolschewistischen Stellungen an.
Footage from a German newsreel, the Deutsche Wochenschau, 1941. The German offensive against Leningrad. The Wehrmacht troops possessed superior military equipment and kept approaching closer and closer to the city.
History of St. Petersburg. The most favored nation, or MFN principle, is one of the main pillars of the multilateral trading system. It ensures non-discrimination between trading partners. If a opponent of the non-discrimination pillar, one of the fundamental rules of the club is that each member
request last month to extend
Welcome. In this video,
disapproved the president's request last month to extend most favored nation trading status to the People's Republic of China. Each bill that comes to the House floor must pass
full protection and security, non-impairment, and in this fourth chapter.
First of all, the arbitral tribunal intends
We're here in London, here is a fascinating fact. We're here in London for the Olympics. We're here in London. We're here in London for the Olympics, and here is a fascinating
Hello, and thank you for checking out this audio revision guide from MrAllsopHistory.com. You can visit my website.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Angel Speaks, the War in Ukraine and its Implications for International Law. My name is Daniela. And before we get started, I'd like to go over a few items.
This is how Russia battered open the doors of Berlin in the last weeks
We've
of
all joined
April.
in listen-only mode.
The city's
However,
last days
we will
as the
only
capital of
discuss
Hitler's
the
Reich.
war in Ukraine.
Hey everybody, I'm Dan Joseph with MRC TV. Recently, the Department of Defense decided to open
Of Soviet Socialist Republics of the 12 republics of the Soviet Union and creating the Commonwealth of Independent States. On the previous day, fixed 1991 by Declaration Number 142H of the Soviet of the Republics of the Supremes.
Творческое объединение Республика Российского телевидения, программа «Без ретуши» в прямом эфире. Я с удовольствием...
Очень много сделано в считанные трудностей, и, может быть, главное из них – суметь правильно и сразу воспользоваться
с Европейским банком реконструкции и развития.
No, you know, he was with President Assad until very late last night.
Meine Damen und Herren, meine Damen und Herren, ich begrüße Sie im Panzermuseum. Mein Name ist Tim.
In this chapter, we'll cover legal theory and foundations for the legal issues. We begin by exploring law and what is it, from where does it derive, what are the sources.
Der russische Energiekonzern Rosneft verstärkt sein Engagement in Venezuela. Nicolás Maduro, der Präsident des südamerikanischen Landes, teilte mit, Rosneft werde weitere 14 Milliarden US-Dollar in die venezolanische Öl- und Erd. Der russische Energiekonzern Rosneft verstärkt sein Engagement in Venezuela. Nicolás Maduro, der Präsident des südamerikanischen Landes.
Who is a Rolling Stones fan? You ever want to creep your mother out and fear for your future boyfriend?
Riley, who found fame being out. Some of the language
Some girls complained, said my vines are sexist and self-indulgent. The bottom of my heart, they're about comedy and not about getting girls.
The history of 3Q battalion is a fascinating one. It's a fascinating one of FNLA combatants fleeing the Angolan War of Independence and finally being melded into a cohesive military force by Colonel Jan Breitenbach.
Le coup d'éclat des féministes venus accueillir Vladimir Poutine à Hanovre. 3 membres des Femen.
It's basically a hangout for Canadian athletes, their families, friends, and fans. I've seen Vladimir Putin in person, based in Europe, for about 5.5 years. And during that time, I've seen Vladimir Putin.
Leningrad affair in 1948-9, during Stalin's lifetime, a serious attempt was made to initiate precisely the same kind of economic reform, one that would have led to the restoration of an essentially capitalist society in the Soviet Union, which was ultimately brought about under the Brezhnev regime. Pause, no sense, guys.
Thank you all for being here. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here. My name is Lacey Rourke. I'm the Student Government Association President here. Student Government Association. president here at IWP, and I'd like to welcome you. More than 20 years ago, IWP was founded as a graduate school based on knowledge and appreciation of the founding principles of American political economy and the Western moral tradition. Ma'am, we're celebrating.
This Russian city between Moscow and St. Petersburg. It differs greatly from the capital and most of the cities on the Volga River. Tver has its own peculiar history. All it takes to learn it is to arrive here and walk through these streets.
Sia europea e l'incendio che provoca questa immensa nuvola.
This is Tver, an ancient Russian city between Moscow
Un fumo
and St.
denso e un
Petersburg.
bilancio delle vittime che è già salito.
When two Egyptian MiG-21s were shot, this period was on the 13th of June. When two Egyptian MiG-21s were shot down as they tried, unusually, to attack
this afternoon on the continuing Cold War, U.S. versus the USSR.
When Nikita Khrushchev was forced from the Soviet leadership in 1964,
പസഫിക് സമുദ്രത്തിൽ ഓസ്ട്രേലിയയോട് ചേർന്നുള്ള വളരെ സമ്പന്നമായ ഒരു രാജ്യമാണ് ന്യൂസിലാൻഡ്. വളരെ എളുപ്പത്തിൽ വിസ കിട്ടുന്ന രാജ്യമെന്നാണ്.
Deep in this bitter vortex of wind and snow may be found the snowfields and the answer to the riddle of
Christian art under Ottoman rule or in war.
Actually, I haven't finished adjusting them yet.
What's that you usually yell about now? Something about morphin' time, isn't it?
You know, a town with money's a little like the mule with the spinning wheel. No one knows how he got it.
Umweltverschmutzung, die Welt gilt in Wahrheit. Zumindest ist das der Eindruck, den man haben kann. Ist natürlich ziemlich schwarz gemalt, aber...
Sie dazu zwingt, äußern Sie Ihr letztes Hemd, wenn Ihnen aber nur ein Wenn die Not Sie dazu zwingt, veräußern Sie Ihr letztes Hemd, wenn Ihnen aber nur ein kleines Stückchen Fantasie und Ausgelassensein keine Grenzen. Dann können die Fenster gar nicht weit genug geöffnet werden.
Züge täglich auf die Reise gehen. Ein Teil der 520 Züge, die täglich auf die Reise
wie dieser nach oben stieg.
Bombing in Guernica,
Und er fließt
Spain,
immer noch nach Süden
April 26, 1937.
auf der Erde.
Guernica was founded by Count Tello on April 18,
Launte beim Angriff. Und die Geber zeigten gleich zu Spielbeginn, wie sie die Dresdner einschüchtern wollten.
The attraction is the Santa Maria Church, which was...
Thank you so much, Nicholas, and I want to thank you and Mary Kay and
got their ration of electioneering like the rest of us.
Thank you so much, Nicholas, and I want to thank you and Mary Kay and everyone from the LRB who's been involved.
The Nevada desert in America is the scene of the latest atomic test.
Thank you so much.
International observers come by invitation to join scientists, military and civil defense authorities making a study of the test.
യാതൊരു എവിഡൻസ് ഉണ്ടാവില്ല അത് റെക്കോർഡ്
The Nevada desert in America is the scene of the latest atomic test. International observers come by invitation to join scientists, military and civil defense.
ആക്ച്വലി ഇതിലുണ്ട് ഇപ്പോൾ റെക്കോർഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നതിന് പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് എവിഡൻസുകളൊന്നുമില്ല ബട്ട് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ഗോയിങ് ഓൺ റെക്കോർഡിങ് അപ്പോൾ അതിനുപറ്റിയ അപ്ലിക്കേഷൻസ് ഇസ് ഗോയിങ് ഓൺ റെക്കോർഡിങ് അപ്പോൾ അതിനുപറ്റിയ അപ്ലിക്കേഷൻസ് ഉണ്ട് ഗൂഗിൾ മീറ്റിൽ തന്നെ റെക്കോർഡ് ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ മാത്രമാണ് ഒരു വാർണിംഗ് കിട്ടുക എല്ലാ പാർട്ടിസിപ്പൻസിനും ഇത് റെക്കോർഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട് ഡു യു വാണ്ട് ടു കണ്ടിന്യൂ ഓർ യു കൻ ലീവ് ദ മീറ്റിംഗ് എന്ന് പറയാം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അത് പറയില്ല
Drains away. What happens?
Dresden skyline, as seen from the Elbe.
Like his father, harvests his grapes as the last. In communist East Germany, the Lehmann family's business was heavily regulated by the state. Lehmann harvests his grapes as the last
Today
rays
it's
of
Lower
summer
Saxony up for
shine
grabs,
down on the Elbe.
and the CDU is being led into battle by a Scot, David McAllister, the incumbent, who, like his Chancellor Angela Merkel, is proving more popular than his CDU party. The race is predicted to be tight between him and the SPD's Stefan Weil, although his chances have been hurt by his leader. The SPD's Piers Steinbrück's made a series of gaffes since being chosen to lead. A loss for Weil might even spur the SPD to replace Steinbrück before September's general election. McAllister's had high-powered help, with Merkel visiting him 7 times during his campaign to add her lustre to his push. But both will be hoping to vote for their coalition partners the SPD holds up. If it collapses, then the CDU can say goodbye to retaining power in September. Former German First Lady Doris Schröder is looking to enter the regional assembly. If she makes it from her lowly position on the list, then the FDP is history in Lower Saxony.
Our vehicles are driven all over the world.
Kranz in schöner Tageglanz, freu dich empor.
Just because it's night doesn't mean we are sleeping.
Ei Friedrich August dir, ei guter König dir, dir Vater preisen wir, lieben
But also real heavyweights are made in Saxony. Up to 75 tons of steel will be forged in Gröditz. We have invested over €1.5 billion in technology since the peaceful revolution. The Free State is the center of the microchip industry. Silicon Saxony is known across the globe. Europe's biggest microchip factory can be found in Dresden. We create space for research and investment. We have more than 80 biotechnology and pharmaceutical companies working in close association with scientific institutions. One example is the Fraunhofer Institute in Chemnitz, which through its research for the automotive industry creates synergies. 180,000 young people are currently learning and studying for their first-class education. Young graduates take advantage of 15 universities, art and vocational colleges. Education isn't only about theory. In Zwickau, college students develop cars with the drive technology of tomorrow. Students in Saxony finish their courses in good time, and all without fees. Above all, children are our most precious resource. Every child is guaranteed a nursery school place from the age of 3. Saxony's pupils are the experts of tomorrow. The Free State regularly achieves top ranking in the PISA test. In international comparison, we are the source of new engineers. There are 1,639 cultural institutions here in Saxony. Bach, Mendelssohn Bartholdy, Richard Wagner, Robert and Clara Schumann, to name but a few. They were all either born here or came here to work their magic. A tradition that we feel close to. Saxon orchestras and artists are renowned the world over. New York, London, Shanghai, Leipzig. The paintings of the new Leipzig School are well known by art lovers. On the grounds of the old cotton mill, you can find numerous international galleries and over 100 artist studios. The beauty of Saxony has long been admired by Hollywood. Kate Winslet, Quentin Tarantino, and Jackie Chan have all made films in the old part of Görlitz. Perhaps the most beautiful city in Germany. 16 million visitors come to see us every year. And not without good reason. On the Whitewater Run or the many lakes, tourists have great fun. Saxony is also relaxing. In one of the northernmost wine-producing regions of the world, top-class wines flourish. A lust for life, curiosity, diligence and expertise. This diversity is the root of Saxony's appeal. Welcome to Saxony.